They are making a difference on 938 Live.
This whole week on They Are Making a Difference, we've been gaining great insight on the humanitarian sector and those who are working within it. Today, we round up the series with Angelina Theodora. She is the Humanitarian and Emergency Affairs Director of South Asia and Pacific Region for World Vision. I started by asking her how she knew that humanitarian work was what she wanted to do.
To be honest with you, I think my career in the humanitarian sector did not actually start with a personal mission or an intentional choice. I had earned my bachelor degree at the height of the first Asian financial crisis in the late 1990s. So at that time, the job market for fresh graduates had been very gloomy and very competitive, of course. So I thought I would just ride the crisis out and made a choice to be adventurous and look for jobs that would expose me to maybe new and different experiences. One of the vacancies that I applied for was a job with a non-governmental organization that was looking for project staff to be posted in remote areas in Indonesia, So I thought to myself, yay, if I get this job, I'll have the opportunity to see parts of my country that I probably would have never visited on my own. So I got the job, and in a way, the rest is history.
And you stayed in the sector, but you did take a break. Was it because you wanted to explore other options?
Yeah, in a way. What's interesting for me, and it's probably a bit not a typical experience because most people who work in the sector would have formal training in humanitarian or development programs. But I actually came with a business degree with a major in marketing at the point, so which maybe I kind of represent maybe a smaller percentage of professionals in the sector. I think after 3 years in the sector, and within that 3 years, I've seen so much. I spent about a year in Indonesia, a year in Timor-Leste, and a year in India within that 3-year period, engaging in various type of humanitarian responses. But, I was young, and I think at that time I probably wasn't really sure whether a career in the humanitarian sector is something that I would want to pursue for the rest of my life, So I just wanted to see what other options I had at that point and maybe, pursue experience in the corporate sector.
How long was the break for?
Close to 5 years, actually.
Okay, and you decided to come back. Why?
It was kind of interesting. I think I took the break for 5 years, and I did a few different things within that time. I went back to school to pursue a master's degree. I worked for an education institution for a couple of years, and I set up my own business as well within that period of time. I decided to actually come back to the humanitarian sector only for a short period of time because of the tsunami response, the Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004. It was such a huge disaster, and the organization that I work for, World Vision, raised a lot of funding and has implemented humanitarian responses in 4 countries: Indonesia, India, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. And they were looking for people, basically, and they started contacting ex-employees, especially people with good track records and have worked with some of these offices, I came back because they were looking for somebody to go and work with the response in India. Interestingly, not in Indonesia, because that's the office that I had the most recent experience with. And initially, I just wanted to come back for a year or two just to kind of give back and contribute to the tsunami response. But I think after the 2 years, I think the choice probably made for me. I decided that this is probably a career that I would want to pursue for the rest of my life.
It's great that your journey brought you back here, and I'm sure the world is appreciative of all the work that you're doing right now, including improving the quality of humanitarian programming in APAC. Now, this is one of your responsibilities here. What are the greatest weaknesses in this area still that we are facing?
It's an interesting question, but I probably, would look at it from a kind of different perspective. I think I see more opportunities rather than weaknesses. I think since the Indian Ocean tsunami in the last decade, there's been so much improvement in the Asia-Pacific region when it comes to disaster management and quality of humanitarian responses. The ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management, Emergency Response, ADMIR, was ratified and reinforced by all of the 10 member states in 2009. Many of the governments in Asia Pacific now have national disaster management bodies, have disaster management laws and regulations, have mandates to lead and coordinate responses in their own countries, have budget for disaster preparedness, early warning and responses. So I see a lot of improvement from the public sector, from non-governmental organizations, from the NGO sector, as well as from the private sector. I mean, there's so much more engagement in the private sector to contribute to disaster management. I think having said that, I see a lot of opportunities for better coordination, better public-private partnership, for trying to come with new solutions to old problems and try to do things in different ways, especially now with just changing context, with better technologies that we have, better interest from different parts of the societies, the youth, the corporations that perhaps we did not have in the past. I also think just with greater capacity in different countries, there's also a lot of room for improvement, for accountability. So, for all key stakeholders, the governments, the NGOs, private sectors, and the civilians to hold each other accountable. We can hold our governments accountable to play their role, to use their budgets appropriately. The communities that we support, the affected populations that we work with, they can hold organizations and NGOs accountable. We all do our share and provide the contribution that would collectively improve the quality of the humanitarian sector.
And that was Angelina Theodora, Humanitarian and Emergency Affairs Director of South Asia and Pacific Region of World Vision. If you'd like to catch up on any of these episodes of They're Making a Difference, you can log on to official 938 Live's YouTube page. This has been They Are Making a Difference. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Daphne Lim.
They are making a difference on 938 Live.